afternoon and good morning to all of you who are joining this webinar from Indonesia and the UK. Welcome to the UK-Indonesia English Partnership Series. Today is the third day and the final day of a three-day event organized by the British Council Indonesia and the UK Department for International Trade, taking the theme, Working Together on Enhancing ELT Capacity in Indonesia. I'm Francis Sinanu, I'm your moderator today. I'm a lecturer at the English Language Education Department, Universitas Kristen Satyawacana, Indonesia, and I'm also a board member of ITEL, Indonesia Technology Enhanced Language Learning. ITEL is helping the British Council Indonesia to organize this event. If you just joined us today and you missed the previous sessions of the series, you can go to the British Council Indonesia YouTube channel and watch the recording there. I think Maria will help to copy and paste the links in the chat box for you to set the reminder and watch later. Before we begin the session, just a few reminders that we are now live on YouTube. And for those joining us here on Zoom, please note that your comments are recorded and might be rebroadcasted. So welcome again. It's so interesting to see teachers from all over Indonesia and also from Egypt. I see there. What a wonderful experience to be able to connect with each other in this event. Today's session will focus on sharing innovation in English language teaching and exams in the UK and Indonesia. We have two separate sessions with a range of UK ELT companies, from well-known mainstream publishers through startups and specific English specialists, such as medical English. So for those interested in ESP, you might stick for the first session. And they will present innovations in remote teaching and assessment. In addition, there will be an overview of the rapidly developing ELT private sector in Indonesia as well. So welcome. We have almost 40 participants here. We're still gonna have people signing in, but we will start with the first session today. And we're happy to have Rupert Daniels, the Director of the Creative Lifestyle and Learning Cluster at the UK Department for International Trade. Good morning to you, Rupert. Rupert covers a wide range of sectors from sports, film, television, music, fashion, and of course, education. He works with teams across government to promote international trade. And he used to be the Global Marketing Director at Cambridge University Press and has held senior roles at Arsenal, if you are a football fan, and have over 20 years of global leadership experience across sales, marketing, production, media, digital, data, and branding. Welcome, Rupert. Time is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Francis. And yes, it's a pleasure to be with you all today, and it's great to see so many people signing up. I've been looking in the chat bar as well, and as you said, Francis, people from Egypt, all across Indonesia, Bali, all the way through to Cardiff, and here in the UK. And so it's great to be here. And firstly, I'd like to say thanks to colleagues in DIT and at the British Council. And Indonesia's Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, and excellent representative organisations from both of our countries who've helped pull together this really crucial series of UK-Indonesia ELT events, of which today is the final version. So we also have a large number of UK and Indonesian delegates viewing today, and I know you said, Francis, it's also on YouTube as well. So thanks to all of you for attending as well. It's great to see so many people signing up over the course of the 3 days that we've been running these sessions together. You heard Francis give a bit of an introduction about me. I do cover a lot of different sectors for the UK government, film, television, music, etc. But the thing that brings it all together is English language. And before I joined the civil service, I worked for 8 years as the Global Marketing Director at Cambridge University Press, specialising in English language teaching. So I've had the pleasure to visit Indonesia and spent lots of time out in the region as well, working with colleagues from Cambridge and across British Council and other organisations and ex-partners and customers from my time at Cambridge. So it's great to be back working in ELT and still running sessions like this, because this is really where my passion lies. And I have to say, I was fortunate enough to see the global premiere of the new Bond film as well. And if you think about UK culture, we've been waiting for three different postponed events for the new Bond film to come on the screen, and it's really exciting to kind of blend all these areas. But the key to understanding and the key to working together is through the English language. And I've been listening into a number of the different sessions that we've had across the few days of these sessions, and it's great to see how the UK is working across government, across institutions, across the globe to assist with ELT drives across academia, across industry, and most recently including big deals which we've worked on with Vietnam, with Brazil. And this kind of needs to be applied across all areas of education, including ELT and industry. But what I'd really like to focus on is on the regional basis for you guys in Indonesia and in the wider region. Our recently acquired dialogue partner status with ASEAN signals a really important commitment to the UK, to the ASEAN area, and was a real landmark in the UK's tilt towards the Indo-Pacific. So it's always been a big focus, but we're really committed to working really closely with partners in the region, and particularly with the ASEAN grouping. So colleagues here, including the British Council, are really excited by this. We look forward to collaborating with Indonesian colleagues in ASEAN on a range of very important education issues, of course, including ELT, but right across the whole broad range of education. So earlier this week, we heard about one of the initiatives, I think from Sir Steve Smith, about a digital innovation grant, which will help to forge UK-Indonesian partnerships, merging ELT with EdTech, so that we can really innovate online methods of teaching. And this was followed by sessions on sharing innovations in English language, teacher professionals. And today, the final of this series, we'll hear from a panel of key UK and Indonesian stakeholders about the kind of innovations in English language teaching and exams across different subsectors, whether it's business or medical, which utilize a range of mediums and interventions from film to AI-powered technology. And it's really exciting stuff. And that's why I was saying earlier, I'm somehow in the middle of all this with the English language teaching, but with AI, with immersive technology, with film, with television. These are all great tools for learning. So it's really exciting times to be in the middle of all of this. And I'm really looking forward to the panel session today. So as you know, I think that the day is split across two sessions. The first, we're going to cover online English language teaching and learning. And the second part of the day is going to cover innovations in English and exams from notable UK ELT organisations who have extensive experience in Indonesia. And I know this because I see one of my ex-colleagues, I can see Alan Davenport is on the line, is going to be taking part. And I work closely with Alan and other great teaching professionals who've got fantastic knowledge. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this programme with Alan and other panel members. So I really hope that our esteemed speakers and the wider audience, find these events valuable, informative and productive, and that they help to cement a foundation for a longer term engagement, networking, and deeper links between our two countries. So DIT, we've helped to create a booklet which profiles the UK ELT organisations, and I would really urge you to reach out to them after these sessions and to develop joint proposals for the Digital Innovation Grant or for any other longer, wider term ventures. And we certainly are here to assist. We're here to help. We really want to make sure that we can drive growth, we can drive innovation, and drive a spirit of partnership which lasts for many, many, many years. So I think I'm going to stop talking now. You've heard enough for me. I'm sure everybody just wants to hear from the panel. So thank you very much. Really excited about today and very honoured to be asked to make these opening remarks. So thank you, Francis. I shall hand back to you now.
Thank you, Rupert. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. We can start the session now. So we're going to have the first speaker for the first session, and we will be introduced to the landscape of the private sectors in ELT in Indonesia, both face-to-face and online. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Vinita Dewi. Vinita is a lecturer at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and she's also with me in ITAL. Silahkan, Tevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Frances, for the introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to British Council Indonesia for involving me in such a great event. Let me share my screen. And while I'm sharing my screen, I think I need to make a kind of disclaimer first, because my presentation will be full of information on commercial products, logos, and names of commercial institutions working in the private sectors of English language learning. Yet this presentation is not for commercial purposes. I aim at giving the portrait, especially for the UK audience, on the landscape of informal sectors of English language learning situation in Indonesia context. So, however, I think the Indonesian audience can also benefit from this information and see the myriad of non-formal option that your students might have access to. So my talk will be covering the private sector of ELT in Indonesia, and I will discuss who they are, what kind of services that they provide, and then the target group and some innovation that they have in each institution. So these 5 categories will guide me through my presentation. And then I'm going to start with my first category of private sectors in English language learning. That is the well-established. Who they are? Well, actually, they are those institutions who've been around in the business for more than 20 years, I guess. And most of them are located in big cities. They have native speakers of English, and some of them have loyal customers. Like, for example, if the parents used to study in that particular English course, then they tend to send their kids to the same English course. They're very loyal. And probably before the pandemic, they have a kind of fixed schedules, like twice a week or 3 times a week. And they also provide the kind of in-house teacher training, so that they have a kind of standardized quality of their teacher. In terms of location, we can see that most of these well-established are in Java Island. Some we can find in Sumatra, a few in Kalimantan and Sulawesi. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, not too many in the eastern part of Indonesia. Let's have a look at them. Some of them, we have international brand like British Council. During the pandemic, they have this slogan, learning from the comfort of your home. So they provide some online courses with different kinds of programs, and also catering to different age group. So they've been moving, I guess, from the face-to-face conventional program to online, I guess, even before the pandemic. There is also English First too. It's pretty well known, and they have a kind of program which give option to the learners, whether they want to access online only or the blended learning, the combination of online and offline, and some access to resources, unlimited resources. Another one, this is a kind of the new kids on the block. It's only Indonesia, arrived in Indonesia in 2007, but gain a lot of popularity among teenagers, young professionals, because they have they provide not only courses but also community and then social club where people can get together. They have the same interests and they can speak English with those people who have the same interest. I guess this is pretty amazing, because in Indonesia, English is not spoken as the first language, second language, so it's not easy to find a place, a community where we can speak English outside the classroom. And we have an array of English language courses. This is Indonesian brand. ILF is pretty well known as a test center, a place where we can improve our IELTS, but also they have a kind of teacher training program, TBI, LIA, and ILT. If you are interested to know more, you can access my slide later and get more information. So basically, they provide programs like general English, conversation classes for students and professionals, and also test preparation. The innovation here, most of them have been transforming to digital learning, whether it is full online or blended learning modes. Well, enough rambling about the well-established one. Now I'll be moving on to the university language centers. In terms of location, the university language centers is spreading throughout the nation. You can see that they are available also in the eastern part of Indonesia, because almost university have this commercial services for the students, for lecturers, and also for publics. Usually they provide services, not only general English conversation, but also test preparation, and they become the test center for students who need the kind of certificate of TOEFL as the requirement before they graduate from the university. And I will just show you some of the university language centers because there are so many. This one is from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. They provide not only English language course, but also some other languages like Indonesian, Japanese, Korean. They also become language testing center for different kinds of tests. Another interesting one is from Institute Technology Bandung. Besides providing the common program, they also have kind of journal writing, textbook reading, and even presentation skills. This is important for students and even lecturers. I'm just going to show you one more thing from Universitas Indonesia, because I found some interesting courses like legal English, English for journal reading. So they have like uniqueness because it's catering to the English for academic purposes. So they think that they can provide catering the needs of these academics. Okay, number one, number two. Now let's move on to number three. This one is the locally owned. They usually located in small cities. It's like filling the needs. The places which are not catered by number one and number two, catered by number three. And they are usually pretty flexible. They have varied programs catering to the needs of the surroundings. And some of them provide a kind of home visit teachers. I'm going to show you some. I believe that there are many that I cannot mention one by one, and I pick some that I personally know, like this one, Travelia. I picked this one because it's pretty unique. It combined traveling and English course. So once in a while, they bring the kids to some tourist resorts, some interesting places, and there is a chance that they can meet foreigners and they can practice their English, try their confidence to speak in the quote unquote real life situation. Another is Skybridge and Bumblebee. They both are similar. They have some kind of partnership with schools. They provide extra class for schools like this, or outdoor activities, and also they provide a free English course for those who cannot afford to join English course, or free teacher training. Another one is Oak Tree. This one is from Kalimantan. The course is not really big. They used to be using face-to-face interaction, and then the owner mentioned that at the beginning of the pandemic they have to close the class, and then finally they can get back to the business with the online situation. So everybody's doing their innovation at their own level. One more, this is interesting. I found it in Telegram group. So there is one man, Indonesian, opening a Telegram group helping people to improve their TOEFL score. And you can see that the member of the group reaching 25,000. He gives lessons for free through Zoom meeting, limited Zoom meeting, of course. And then he also have a YouTube channel. The subscriber reached, probably it's so small, but it's 3.6K. So It's amazing that people keep sharing, giving free knowledge, and then helping other people to improve their English competency. Okay, 1, 2, 3, no. Number 4. This is pretty phenomenal in Indonesia, the immersion program. So let me tell you a bit of the story from this. So there is one city in the eastern part of Java, Kediri, and then back in 1976, there was one language center with only 6 students. But then throughout the time, the language center in this place growing up to 200 language centers in this village, only in one small place. It's pretty well known. It becomes a domestic tourist resort in Indonesia. Students go for holiday there. They spend for a week or 3 months having an English course in an immersion program, a full day English, and they get the opportunity to practice their English inside the classroom and outside the classroom, because it is said that the whole village can speak English. Probably not the perfect English, but it's good enough for survival, for communication. Let's have a look at this place. It is called Kampung Inggris, or English Village. It even attracted the previous UK ambassador. He went there, and then it is mentioned on the news that some of the teachers were trained by British Council. You can see the situation is pretty, it looks like village. And then right now, the first language center have got 96 alumni. And why is it keep growing? Because some of the alumni opening another language centers there. So, well, it becomes pretty famous. And now this Kampung Inggris also goes online. So if you search on Google, and you can find some kampunginggris.co providing online lesson for students. All right, now this is the last one. It's startup, the EdTech company, which gained popularity when, of course, after the pandemic, it gains more popularity. And then actually some of them didn't start the business in English language teaching. Some of them provide extra courses, enrichment for students for many different courses. But then this kind of startup usually start within 2 or 3 years. They are digital or mobile based. They provide flexible learning, provide access to many resources for the students, and they can learn anytime, anywhere, 24/7, and it's more affordable price. Some of the famous names as, for example, Ruang Guru start the business in all subjects, but now recently they opened English Academy, especially for learning English. So you can see that they provide different kind of services for different age group, and then they have the international curriculum and also promises for native English speakers, teacher. Another is Cakap. This is also interesting because this startup provide different types of class. Do you want to study in a small group? Is it in a big group? Whether it's private, one-on-one with the teacher. And then the curriculum is pretty reliable because they have the partnership with Sanata Dharma University, one of the famous university in Indonesia. And if we look at the review on the apps, it gains a lot of review with good stars. So I think it's pretty good. English Breaking and Lister and Mau Belajar Apa also provide similar, but everyone's got their uniqueness. This one, Zenius, is I think they try to cater the K-12 students because they inline the content of the course with the national curriculum. So they provide content similar to the textbook used at schools. They have animated video using Bahasa Indonesia when they explain some concept of grammar or some concept of text, because Indonesia used a gender-based approach. So I think it will help students to gain better score at schools. Well, so I think that's all that I can say about the landscape of private sector in Indonesia. We can see that the digital innovation will keep spicing up the future of English language learning in Indonesia, and I believe that the future is now actually. So we need to think about this is the kind of access that the students can get when they want to learn English, especially for those parents who can't afford this kind of English courses. They might visit these courses because probably the curriculum, the English hours in our national curriculum is not enough. So that's how I close my presentation. Thank you. If you want to get access to my slide, you can get to the link or scan this QR code. I'm passing back the screen to Francis.
Thank you, Tevin. I hope that gives a better idea, especially for UK participants, on the landscape of the private sectors of ELT in Indonesia. Now we go to the next speaker. I would like to invite Nigel Killick, the Managing Director and founder of realllyenglish.com Ltd. Nigel speaks Bahasa Indonesia, so I don't know. Are you going to present in Indonesian or in English, Nigel?
Ya, terima kasih Bu. Saya belum bisa bahasa Indonesia. Saya harus belajar. Tapi mungkin saya belajar sama dengan student saya sedikit sendiri, and then saya ada guru setiap 2 minggu.
Okay.
Tapi mohon maaf, saya belum bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia. Mungkin waktu lain saya akan cari yang kata-kata yang benar untuk presentasi. Tapi hari ini dalam bahasa Inggris.
Over to you, Nigel.
Very much. Sorry, yes, that's the end of my Indonesian. Let me just get the slides up. So, thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon. I just thought it would be useful, and thank you for the opportunity to present on what I've learned in 20 years of digital English training. I started Really English 20 years ago with the idea or the understanding that the best way to learn English is with a good teacher. And there's no question of that, and that remains the same today. The problem is that most of the world's population cannot get access to teachers who speak English well enough to teach them. And therefore, we have to look at different methods of providing English to those kinds of students. So you may think it odd that I got started in Japan, but I got started with the Educational Testing Service, and they introduced me to their partners in Japan. And although Japan is a very modern economy, it has a real problem with English, that most of the learners of English graduate from university at best at A2. So there's a significant issue for Japanese learners. So we got started there with ETS, and we focused on that market for 10 years. And a lot of my learning has come from that aspect. We then moved to China and to ASEAN, and in 2013 to Indonesia. So what I want to do is just give you a kind of view of what we've learned and why we think it's so important. So first of all, some background. We've had 1.5 million learners in Asia. 75% of those have completed their 30 or more hours of study, in most cases more than that. And most of that is self-study. And you'll be aware that the critical issue for self-study is completion rates. And so we very much focused on getting our students through. There are a lot of companies that it's kind of I sell, you buy, goodbye. But in our case, we really want to get students through, and we'll look at some of the ways that we've done that. But we also have to acknowledge that self-study is a lonely and difficult road. Most of language learning will be done in self-study. I speak a little bit of Indonesian. I speak a little bit of French. You know, those things you learn, and a teacher helps you learn them, but fundamentally you have to learn vocabulary yourself, you have to learn grammar, you have to do reading yourself. So a lot of the miles, the heavy learning miles, are done in self-study, whether they're done in homework, textbooks being corrected by teachers, or now if they're digital, they're done in self-study. And the way that we've got students through this, most of all, is to show them how they can be successful. We take them through a lesson, they achieve success in that lesson, they think they're going to be successful and can do English, we recognize that and they carry on. And it comes from understanding that most of our students, by the time they come to us, by the time they're 16, 18, 20, 30 years old, they've spent a lot of time learning English and many have failed. And that's particularly the case in my experience in Japan, but I think it's also the case in Indonesia. And our question and our challenge then is how to undo that mindset. Very often these are very smart students, but they just are failing in English. And so our challenge has been to make English accessible. So we focus on skills. We undo some of the damage that many students have had. So things like translating every word when you read, sub-vocalizing, those kinds of issues. We want to get your reading speed up. We want to help you listen more effectively, speak and write, and all of those things. And I promised to Colm this would not be an tech-heavy presentation, and it's not, because we only use technology for pedagogy. So pedagogy drives and educational values drives everything we do, and we use technology in order to enhance that, not as some kind of marketing post. So what is the crucial issue? Well, the crucial issue for us is time. Time is the major competitor to learning. Let's face it, I'm asking people to come and learn English, which they've struggled to do for many years on a small learning device or on a computer. They'd much rather be with their family, with their friends, going to movies, as Rupert said, lots of fun things that they could be doing rather than studying English. So we have to make sure that we are incredibly efficient and that we get them to learn in a really effective and efficient way. And this comes down to this rather kind of silly slide, and my apologies that neither of these players play for Arsenal, but Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, two of the greatest footballers ever, did not learn to play football by watching other people play football. They have to do it. They have to kick a ball. And in English, whatever other tools you may use, you are going to have to answer questions. You have to do exercises. You have to repeat these things. You have to build on your learning. And so that's really what we've tried to achieve. Studying more of the right thing. We use a little bit of analysis and assessment to decide what that is. Getting you to do it more often, so 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, gets to better outcomes, and that we've proven. And our key thing is efficiency. The maximum improvements with the minimum time spent on task is what we are trying to do. One of the problems we're trying to solve is this problem here, that English has typically been for two types of students. One is the wealthy, who can go to private language schools, who can get access to native teachers, who can travel, who can have all of those great advantages. And the other are the self-motivated, who will be able to train themselves and work through themselves and may be able to get access to teachers. But there is a mass of people out there, a mass of students who are less wealthy, who are less able to do those things, who are less motivated, and we need to help them. We need to remove the inequality that comes from those two things, that wealth or that ability to spend money on education, and that self-motivation, which, let's face it, not everyone is born with. So what we've tried to do is make English accessible. It's available on the mobile phone. It can be projected on screens in rural villages. People can believe and can see themselves improving. Every lesson is designed in a classroom way to make people learn through the lesson, to review what they've done, and hopefully in the end, they turn out and they go, oh, I can do that. And so they start another lesson, and then we're in a virtuous cycle. And we want to make it affordable. That's absolutely critical to everything we do. The other thing we do, actually, I would add, is that we white label our solutions. So education is about trust. So we work with institutions. We don't care about our brand. The student cares about the brand they have chosen, the institution they have chosen to come to. And so we white label our products under that institution's banner, because we're asking students to study hard. They need to believe it. It's helpful if they trust the institution and they know the institution, and they don't know really English probably. So here's the other thing we've done. In Japan, we supported very many teachers who did not speak English. And I say that because they write to us and they say, we don't speak English well enough. We need your help. We need your support. So we basically created structures and empowered teachers to be mentors and supporters and coaches where they can't really teach English effectively because they don't have control of the language that they need. And I think that's one of the big changes, or I hope that's one of the big changes that technology will bring. It will enable teachers to be supporters, to get a lot of the self-study work done, and then they can focus on the added value part, which is clearly speaking, which is by far the hardest thing. It's by far the most important thing. And it's the thing that tech is worst at doing. So can we, by helping teachers to use our systems, use our platforms, even if they're not confident in English, can we get them to help their students improve? And that's what we've done, and that's what we've really focused on. So it's led us to create a style of lesson which is very simple, and it's very kind of classroom based. You know, we present the key language, we practice it, and we review it, and it all comes from the classroom, which remains the best place to learn, but we have to take some of those values and bring those into an EdTech world. So our background is from the classroom. The first people I brought into Really English were from International House, a big school in London, teacher trainers, because we didn't want to be publishers publishing textbooks online. We wanted to take the values of the classroom and the support that created. So there are really three models that we think work in the new world, assuming that digital is going to be part of it, which I think most people would now assume. The first one is self-study. We always provide a mentor or a coach. So if people can't afford to have teachers, or the teachers aren't good enough at English, we have people who will email. It's a very simple service. It can't be very expensive because we're trying to keep the cost very low, but it does encourage people to carry on. And they know that someone's there with them when they're studying and when they hit that wall of learning that we've all hit. Then there's enriched self-study, which is where we hope the teachers will support. The teachers on the ground, even if their English isn't great, they can encourage, and your homework, please do it, because all the results are available and they can see all of those results. And then there's the blended program, and we have a lot of content, blended content PDFs that we provide for free to our partners. This is all our material. This is a textbook from a partner in Japan, but we provide it all, and it can be edited. So you can make it have a very local feel, and therefore teach it in the classroom better. Meanwhile, it's integrated with one of the digital lessons. I'm not going to go through this slide. I don't have much time, but I just wanted to show an example, and you can look at it later, of a college in rural China. Well, in China, Chengdu, it's not very rural, my apologies. But where we've succeeded in achieving this, and it's been mandated, it's part of a course, but the course completion rates are excellent. But they're even more excellent in the campuses where the teachers were more involved. So what we've shown very clearly in Chengdu here is that 93% completion rate is achieved, and in fact, people go way through that most often. And in Minyang, it's 70%, and in Chengdu, there are much more teacher involvement. So it shows you how much more effective that can be. And it's also used as a way of evaluating teachers, not on the ability of their students, but on the study profile. Because if students are studying, they're doing things, they will improve, and we've got those metrics and some nice comments from them there, and I'll just go through. So for us, a teacher working with the students to ensure that they understand and complete a high quality digital program, and there are others apart from us, don't believe it's just us at all. There are many, but we believe that's the fundamental secret to success in a world where many people cannot come to private language schools, cannot get access to really highly qualified and trained teachers. If they can, that's the best way of learning, absolutely. If they can't, then let's create a way and a method that makes it available and accessible and affordable for everyone in the world. Back to this point earlier, English is critical. We know it changes people's lives. We know they can get better jobs. That's why we're all in this business. But what we want to do is we want to level it up. We want to make it achievable. We want to democratize English and make it available to everyone. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak. Mohon maaf saya tidak bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia. Mungkin waktu lain. Sampai jumpa lagi. Thank you very much, Francis.
Thank you so much, Nigel. If you scroll up in the chat, people are saying that you're saying you're not good in bahasa Indonesia, but you're very good. One of participants saying, "Ini mah udah fasih." Like, this is good. If you say this is not good, you're Indonesian. Thank you so much for sharing your presentation about reallyenglish.com. And now we go to Verada Sucharitkul. She's the CEO and founder of Filmdo, and she's gonna share the innovation that she's been doing with Filmdo. Verada, time is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? I just want to make sure.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Varada, the CEO and co-founder of Film Day Academy. I'm here today to talk to you about some really interesting innovations happening, especially in the English teaching and English learning space using film and video. But before I start, I would also like to say something in Indonesia.
Ooh.
Saya juga anak Indonesia. Ketika saya masih kecil, saya tinggal di Jakarta. Saya sangat senang berada di sini hari ini. Terima kasih.
Wow.
So, what I would like to talk today is actually a really interesting phenomenon. And that is actually that at the moment, there's a very big problem of students no longer being disengaged. The average Gen Z student now spends at least 4 to 6 hours a day watching online content, YouTube videos, Facebook video, TikTok. It's very hard to connect to them. Traditional teaching methods like textbooks, written exercise, they no longer connect. But what does? Films and video. Films and video can connect to these students, relate to them, and of course, help them to become more engaged and to learn better. Really interesting studies all show, for example, this recent study by Dosibo, that 81.6% of people now actually expect to use more film and video in their language learning. Movies also have a very unique capacity to help create empathy for people and places we don't know and have not experienced. And that's why films and of course videos are really powerful to inspire that connection, that empathy, and to give that context. This is a quote that I really, really like. Learning a language without the cultural framework in which it exists is like cooking ethnic food without the spices of the region. You just simply will remove all of the flavor from the language. And that's why when you're just learning languages using apps or doing English with just exercises, you don't have the context, the cultural nuance, which really inspires the student to want to learn a lot more. Some of you may know Stephen Krashen. He's a famous linguist based out of California. He actually did a lot of study into how we learn languages. And again, he said this best. We acquire language in one way and only one way, when we get comprehensible input in a low anxiety environment. So basically, comprehensible input is the way how children learn. Naturally, every day you start to understand a little bit more, you grow your vocabulary. And of course, you learn best when you're having fun, it's low anxiety, just like the way children learn. And that's what films do. Films, you can help to understand a little bit more every day, especially when you're immersed in that. And it's entertaining and it's in a low anxiety environment. And that's why students, when they're cramming for their exercises, they may pass their exams, get good grade, but the language acquisition doesn't stay very long. So why is film and video the future of learning? I mentioned that it's actually the way the modern students now learn, connect, and engage with content. Films and video also supports multimodal learning with all the senses, hearing, seeing. It supports complex understanding of more deeper issues. Films can also be used to create discussions and a talking point. Even shy students at the end of the lesson, they have something to talk about when they see a film, and they can give their own opinion or having fun talking about really interesting stuff. Films and videos are also great at improving listening and pronunciation skills. And most of all, it's just so fun and engaging that students love doing their homework. These are some of the really interesting sites that I would love to share with you that you can use to create your own film and video lessons. On the left-hand side, we have some companies that allow you to create games and lessons from films and video. You might be asking why I put TikTok there. That's because that's where a lot of the younger students are spending time there. And we've seen some really innovative teachers now actually using TikTok to teach. They're creating little bite-sized lessons that the students can just watch on their phone. At the same time, students can even be doing their homework on TikTok now, and their friends and peers can be commenting and sharing. So actually, you can use where the students are to create lesson tools as well. On the right-hand side is tools more specific for English video resources. So this is where you will find English video lessons already created. There's a number of different sites. Some of them also have more detailed work lesson or lesson plan, like Film English. ISL Collective is a great site. It's somewhere in between both. You can create your own lessons, but there's also many English video lessons for you to use as well. And of course, there's Film Academy, that's us. We actually started as a film distribution platform. We have one of the world's biggest English learning catalog, and we saw the potential to expand into English teaching and English lesson using film and video. So we've launched Film Academy, which teachers can of course now use to turn any film and video, including YouTube videos, Vimeo videos, your own videos, into an interactive game and lesson in just a few seconds. And this is the interesting space we're now seeing, which is where we can use content, films, and combine with some really exciting educational tools to create games and lessons. So a little bit about us. Well, you can see how easy the interface is to create games and lessons in just a few minutes from any film and video, and students love it too. You can use it in classroom mode, where students can watch a film and play a game in class together at the same time. Especially during COVID, they can be used in online lessons, whereas hundreds of students can even watch a game and answer questions, really interactive, really make lesson fun, helps the student engagement. And of course, the same game and lesson can also be used for homework and independent study. So let's watch a video together to bring it all to life a little bit more. Let me just put this up. Play the video.
Do you want to use film and video to engage your language students? Learning a new language is no easy task. Using traditional textbooks and flashcard exercises to learn can often feel repetitive and boring to many students. With the average Gen Z students now spending at least 4 hours a day watching online content, these traditional teaching methods now struggle to keep the students engaged. In this video, we'll show you why film and video is the perfect tool for language learning and how Film Academy's interactive online tool can be used to reignite your students' passion for language learning. Learning feels a lot less like work when you're enjoying yourself in the process, and studies over the years have repeatedly shown that video learning can be an effective and powerful means of providing cultural context while inspiring enthusiasm for the target language. Most of all, films have the power to evoke empathy and cultural understanding, helping to create a connection. At the same time, students are able to immerse themselves in native, authentic content that shows the way the language is actually spoken. At FilmDo, we have one of the world's largest international film catalogs, with films in over 32 languages, so you'll be sure to find the right content for your students at every level. Film and video-based learning comes in many forms and can be applied in a variety of different contexts, from mid to end of lesson knowledge check to independent self-study and homework. Of course, one of the greatest advantages of video learning is that it can be easily adapted for remote and online learning too, providing students and teachers with a set of easy-to-share resources and ready-to-use lessons that can be used in multiple modes. Using Film Academy, teachers have the ability to create interactive lessons that can easily be adapted for your students in just a few minutes. This saves teachers lots of time in looking for relevant content and creating teaching material. Visit Film Academy for your free trial of Film Academy Pro today. Do you want to?
And of course, we're now being used by many schools in Indonesia, and I'd love to talk about what's worked in Indonesia, such as the work we've done with English Today. And that's actually, Indonesian students love fun, action-driven films. Movie trailers are especially great, especially for teenagers, but also music videos. Did you know that songs by BTS, Korean bands in English, can also be used to teach English, for example? That's a great way where students can't wait to do their homework. And they really connect to them with where they're spending time as well. And of course, in helping find content, look for content that's authentic, English language in films or video in different accents, showing culture, showing food in different contexts is really useful to inspire students to want to learn English, and of course help with long-term language acquisition when they're more encouraged to do their homework or to interact with English learning content on a more regular basis. So it's a really exciting time It's one now where around the world we are seeing learners now expect to be entertained, but viewers also now expect to learn something. And it's what I call, we're at a point of the edutainment revolution. It has arrived, it's really exciting. I would love for all of you to try to use film and video in your own lessons to make English learning and English teaching really exciting, and of course, helps to engage your students and connect to the modern students. So please do get in touch with me. Feel free to check out filmdo.academy. It's free to sign up. Feel free to drop me an email at info@filmdo.academy or add me on LinkedIn. And we'd love to stay in touch and help you with your film and video journey in English teaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Verada. Oh, impressive. I think all the speakers are trying to showing off their Indonesian today. Thank you so much. If you look at the chat and also the Q&A, a lot of people are asking about video using movies. So teachers, participants, if you would like to ask questions, we have a Q&A session at the end of this session. We have one more speaker and then we can go on with the discussion. And I would suggest that you do not post your questions in the chat box, but in the Q&A. It will make it easier for the panelists to read your questions. And now we have the last speaker for this session, the first session. We have Chris Moore. Hello. You don't speak Bahasa Indonesia, do you?
I'm going to be very disappointing, and I'm not going to use Indonesian. I apologize for my language.
All right, no worries. So Chris Moore is the Managing Director and a Specialist Language Courses, SLC, Medical English. So I think it's a very big market now in Indonesia, with the government trying to improve the English language proficiency of the doctors and nurses here in the country. English teachers who are joining us today would like to probably learn from your presentation. So Chris, over to you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to do what everybody else does and go to my PowerPoint. So here it is. Bear with me. Okay, and let's go from the beginning. So, good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be. It's a cold and grey morning here in southern England. I hope it's a little nicer where you are. I'm the founder and managing director of SLC, Specialist Language Courses. We founded in 2012, so we are coming up for our 10th birthday. We specialize in English for specific purposes, and within that, very specifically in medical English and test preparation for medical students and medical professionals. Before I talk about the medical English in particular, what I'd like to do is just have a look at the background to the rise of ESP, English for specific purposes. So English for specific purposes has been around for 30, 40 years. Anybody who's been in the industry for some time has all kinds of experience working with all kinds of people, looking at very specific needs-driven English. These days, with the globalization of work and study, corporate meetings are increasingly in English, conferences, seminars, university courses delivered in English. English is very much a lingua franca, as most of us here are very aware of. And so within that, we've seen the development of a lot of English courses which target very specific needs of specific groups of students. And these are driven very much by their needs, what they need to do with English when they are often working as well as studying. And this is in the development of very context-specific curricula involving the language, this kind of balance of skills that different jobs need, the discourse, the communication frameworks, the kind of cultural settings in which language takes place. And so we've seen this curricula develop across a wide range of industry sectors, including aviation, for example, shipping, so maritime, hospitality, construction, and in our case, medicine. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the development of the medical English courses that we work with. So the first question, I guess, is why medical English? Why go for that? Well, the first thing is that medical English matters. These are high stakes conversations. These are important pieces of research, seminars, conferences, etc. So this is language which makes a difference. It's language which, as a medical professional, or someone who is studying to become a medical professional, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, a radiographer, these, the language you use matters. It's increasingly delivered in English, whether it be working overseas, whether it be studying, whether it be attending international medical events or being part of an international team. And this is something that we really wanted to engage with. So language, which really makes a difference to the learners who are working with us. The second thing which really drew us to medical English was it's difficult. As an English language teacher, and I was a teacher for 20 years before starting SLC, when I listened to doctors talking to each other, discussing a particular case, very difficult for me, even as a language professional, to really understand what's going on. So the level of technical content, the high level of vocabulary, the kind of communication frameworks used are something which is very established within the medical sphere, but difficult to understand for outside. And we thought this is a real opportunity for us to go into something which is difficult. It's interesting, so it's good for the brain, but also it's a real challenge. And actually, there are not that many other companies who do this kind of thing. So we thought there was something there to get our heads into. By specializing, we develop expertise. So we decided we would really go deep into medical and therefore develop a lot of expertise around this particular sphere. I have friends who run aviation English companies, maritime English companies, and they've done exactly the same thing for the same reason. And then in terms of medical English, the impact amplifies as students use their learning. So we work with nurses and doctors who are working, who will go to work, for example, in the UK or the US, and their contact with patients, with the families and friends of patients, with their colleagues, really amplifies the impact of their learning. So again, this is important for us to make a difference. However, working with medical English is not easy. As I mentioned just before, one of the attractions was the difficulty, the challenges around that. And these are the 7 kind of main challenges that we had to really work with when we set out to develop medical English programs. One was the selection and delivery of content, how to address very specific needs. So healthcare, there's a very wide range of professions within healthcare. How to keep up with change. Things are moving so quickly. We've seen that in the last 18 months as vaccines have been developed, new pandemic management techniques developed, etc. People who we work with, they're time poor. They can't get to schools. They're working shifts. They're all over the place in terms of geography. So how to work with such a disparate group of students. How to work with those who want self-study because of their lack of time, and those who want to work with teachers. So for example, we work with medical students at universities, and we work with the teachers at those universities. So how to support those medical English teachers and those medical test preparation teachers. That was also something we really had to think about, because our courses are increasingly used in medical universities. And then the other thing is, how do you know it's any good? Not that many people do this, so therefore we wanted to make sure that we were able to reassure people that the content of what we do really works. So how we kind of overcame these challenges, let's say. The first one is that we worked really hard to work with expert writers. So people who combine both healthcare and English language expertise, and exam insiders, examiners, test item writers, etc. Our head of medical English is an English language lecturer, teacher trainer, but she's also a registered nurse, and she still puts in nursing shifts in Scotland where she lives. So she really has an understanding of how language works on the ground, and we make sure that the writers we work with have a similar background. So really, working with experts. The second thing is we went deep. So not just doing medical English and some medical terminology, but really we have an English for Doctors course, which is 100 hours of content, a nursing course, 100 hours of content. We have courses for pharmacy, for radiography. We have cross-sector courses, so in medical terminology, in grammar, in medical academic purposes, so giving presentations, for example, or writing research papers, and similar with the test preparation courses. We decided to go online. We decided this very early. Online allows us to have courses which are updatable very quickly, which we can customize for specific organizations such as universities or hospital groups. It's media rich, So as both Nigel and Virada have pointed out, it includes video, audio, you can record yourself, it's very visual, so it's a rich, engaging learning experience, and it's on demand. It's on demand for self-study, and you can add on lots of tutoring options. We do that through our own teachers. We have partners who have lots of teachers who also use the courses, and they might use either a physical classroom, but also a lot of people are using online classrooms too. Oh, hang on, that's not very good. Okay, we really made sure that we were focusing, excuse me, a little technical hitch, focusing on the experience of the learner and the teacher. So we don't have our own learning management system. We are the content people. We work with a learning management system with very deep expertise in English language teaching. They also work with Cambridge University Press, with Google, with Macmillan. So they have a fantastic platform which we're able to use to really show the content off and to give a great experience to both our students and teachers. We wanted to make sure that we had everything accredited, so checked out, and this is by both professional development, so vocational training organisations, as well as English language and test people. And then the final thing is, you know, in this sort of space, you've got to keep innovating, you've got to keep going. So coming very soon for us is mobile first content. I mean, it all works on a mobile phone, but this is going to be a much stronger mobile learning experience, offline content, so you don't need to have a connection to access everything. And we're developing more courses, of course. So this is the portfolio. This is all medical English and medical English test preparation. There's about 750 hours of content here, and it's expanding very quickly. And you can see there's a wide range, both profession specific, across healthcare and exam preparation. A few case studies. This is a course that we put together for Vinmec Hospital Group in Vietnam. So they wanted to use pieces of our different courses and combine them in one course for all their nurses. And that's what we did. Digital content is quite easy to recombine and use in different ways. And so we have a course which is being rolled out at the moment. This is a course, you can see there's both English and Russian. So we work with the biggest medical school in Russia. And together we developed an Anglo-Russian clinical communication course for doctors, which is being used across the Russian market. We work with Health Education England on different projects. This is something we did recently in India with Health Education England. They're part of the NHS, the National Health Service here, as well as an Indian provider to provide OET preparation for groups of nurses in southern India. This is something that we did with a refugee organisation based here in the UK. Refugees from all over the world, across different parts of the UK. We brought them together using online classrooms, combining with the study content that we do in order to get them across the language requirement they need to register and work here. And now a lot of them are entering the workforce, which is brilliant for the UK National Health Service and great for the doctors and great for the impact that they make with the patients that they then serve. And then finally, this is something that we did with OET, the test preparation body, and we worked with them, some National Health Service Trust, to bring students together from the Philippines, India, and the UK to take them through the OET program, and they're all now working as nurses here in the UK. So that's some examples of how we combine the study content that we do, how it can be recombined, customized, and used by doctors, nurses, as well as other professions to deliver language training wherever people might be. So on the screen here, we have Vietnam, Russia, Philippines, UK, refugees from Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and so on. So that is us. That was a sort of whistle-stop tour of medical English, what we developed and why we developed. If anybody's got any questions, any follow-up questions they'd like to engage me with, I would love to talk about this. I can talk about this stuff until the cows come home. So here are my contact details. I will stop sharing there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you so much to all of our speakers. I would like to bring them back in the spotlight. We have a wonderful presentations, first from Vinita, who gave an overview of the private English language teaching sectors in Indonesia. There are so many options. I can see in the chat, even as Vinita was talking and was presenting, people are adding up to the list. So definitely lots of competition. But again, Indonesia is a very big country and there are lots of students. And also, it's not just the private sector that is innovating, the teachers as well. The pandemic has forced us to getting used to online teaching now. Following Finita, we have heard from Nigel from Really English, Varada from Film Do, and Chris from SLC. 3 different presentations covering unique innovations in English language learning options. So I think we have all learned a lot. Now we have some time for questions. I would like to begin with a question to our for our UK panelists. So what did you take away from Finita's presentation, and what do you have to offer learners in Indonesia directly? Ding ding.
Shall I start on that one?
Okay, anybody? Yes.
It's really great to get a sense of what the provision looks like in Indonesia. Obviously, we work in a very specialist sector. We already work with universities in different parts of the world, not in Indonesia. So it's definitely a conversation that we would like to have with people who are working with healthcare students, medical students, pharmaceutical students, nursing students, for example. So that would be something that we would like to do. In terms of the private language sector, if people are working with ESP, then we'd be very happy to support them, not only in medical English, but also in providing links with other providers of things like aviation English, legal English came up, academic English, and so on. So that was a really interesting overview of the Indonesian ELT landscape. So thank you very much.
Nigel.
Yeah, so for me, it just reminded me that Indonesia is about 15 different countries in one country. You look at the geography and you look at the points of reference of the universities, and you realize how much of this vast country is not yet covered and really well supported. And I think that's one of the great challenges. I've been fortunate to travel all over Indonesia, or to many of the places, even to Irian Jaya as I knew it way back in the day, now Papua and Sulawesi and Sumatra. And every time you just get this sense of awe that it's such a massive country and there's so many possibilities and so many people that can't be dealt with in the big cities, you know, Medan, Surabaya, Jakarta, but there are so many different places. And that was just really, that came home, Ibu Finita, thank you. You know, the opportunities that are there because there are so few sort of institutions, physical institutions in so few places relative to population.
Thank you. And Varada.
It's a really interesting overview, but I think for me, what was really exciting was to actually see some of the innovation, the pace of innovation that's happening on the ground, all this amazing English teaching and learning startup that has really accelerated. Even the immersion village, that was super interesting for me. And I'm like, even I want to check this out now. But I think what has really shown me is that, you know, the level of innovation that actually it will spread to the more well-established organizations. We will see that more going into the university language centers. We will also see that going into the more public schools. And it is a really exciting time. And I think with many of the speakers also operating in the online space, that's where we can really help accelerate bringing many of these really interesting innovation, online trends, so that actually it's not just one, you know, Kampung Inggris. It can be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of mini Kampung Inggris. And that's really exciting, you know, even in a couple of homes that you can immerse yourself in film and video and you know, even talking directly to English speakers around the world. It can happen at a much faster pace. Very exciting.
All right, and now to you, Finita, what's your reaction to the presentations by Nigel, Varada, and Chris? What can Indonesia learn from these innovative UK providers?
Well, it is very interesting to see so many different kinds of innovation, and as we can see that some of them are not available here in Indonesia. As I explained, that many of them provide more like general English classes, and then adding up as the enrichment to schools. Then Chris, for example, you provide English for nurses. I believe that this is Indonesian really need this one. I've got some friends working with the medical, and then they really need this kind of innovation. And obviously vocational schools need support in the relation to English language teaching, which are really specific. And then another digital technology that Miguel and Virada mentioned give more option to us Indonesian. However, since if you see that eastern part of Indonesia are not really reached by this well-established and then other probably starts up, it means that they need a kind of low-tech innovation, which are reachable by the whole nation, not only in the big cities, but also in the remote area. I think that should be a challenge for you, Nigel and Vera, that to provide a kind of low-tech option for Indonesian society. Thank you.
Okay, or that should be an opportunity for partnership with Indonesian participants here in this event. All right, thank you so much. Now let's have some questions from the audience. Let me see. First, we have a question from Baharudin. Baharudin has a question for Pak Nigel. He would like Pak Nigel to give an example of blended learning.
Okay, terima kasih, Pak. It's quite difficult to give an example, but if I hold that in front of the camera, then basically this is a regular textbook. It looks exactly and feels like a textbook, but the key language is related to what the student has studied on the mobile phone or what they will study. So the idea is to really bring the kind of self-study in the mobile phone alive in a kind of lesson. And this lesson is designed for a teacher with very little experience. So we use it a lot in rural China, for example, where teachers don't have much experience, and you can follow it through exactly. The other thing we enable people to do is to make their own. So you can rewrite this. It's open source with the idea of teaching something that's more appropriate to the students that are around you, but keep the key language the same, because that's what's being studied on the phone. And so it's really that integrated flipped classroom or blended learning model, which is I think one of the best ways of studying. So I'm not sure I've kind of given a blended lesson, but hopefully I've shown how it works, and it's pretty familiar. You know, this is very familiar to people, but it's just combining the two. Okay,
thank you. Next, Leah has a question for Chris. What aspects should be considered when designing and developing the curriculum, and also the materials for English for healthcare students?
That's quite a big question. I think the first thing is to get a really strong understanding of the needs of your students. It's got to start from the needs, so the curriculum really emerges from rigorous needs analysis. So when we created the English for Nurses program or the English for Doctors program, we spoke to a lot of people in the professionals, but also teachers and healthcare managers as well. So we developed the needs from there. When you have an understanding of the needs, and therefore you can start working on what the curriculum looks like and the sequencing of the language, then it's really important to make sure it's a coherent course and to include content which is really engaging. So this is something which has come up from all the sessions, I think. And so we use what we think is best practice online methodology. So short inputs into exercises very quickly, a lot of video, a lot of dialogue, a lot of variety. You can record yourself as part of a conversation and listen to yourself speaking in that conversation. We wanted also to make sure that the course was very teachable. So again, from a teaching point of view, to have clear sequencing, clear organization of the course, and a clear way of teachers working with their students and checking progress and recycling language. It was very much part of the thinking. So yeah, begin with the needs, design the curriculum, and then we test it out. And the great thing about digital is that you can see where it's working, where it's not working. And if it's not working, you can fix it quickly. So it's not like publishing a textbook, which takes an absolute age to then publish the next edition and next edition. We can just go into the learning management system, we can repurpose or redesign some stuff, and bang, it's out there as part of a course which someone's already doing. So, digital gives us real flexibility in making sure that we keep up with the needs. And as I mentioned with healthcare, it's changing really quickly, healthcare, all the time. And therefore we have to be using content which can be updated quickly. And so, and again, listening to the needs of the students, getting lots of feedback, and then putting that back into the courses.
Okay, you mentioned a publication book. Andy has a question. Is there any commercial ESP book designed by your company that they can buy, that people can buy?
Well, we don't publish textbooks, no. So we see our courses as kind of digital course books, if you like. And so as long as people have access to the courses, they can follow them through in the same way as they would a course book. The teacher can actually log in and see the pages that the students are doing. So just like you would look at your student's book, you can look at what they've done, whether it be on a tablet or a phone or a laptop, and go from there. We publish kind of PDF teacher guides, that kind of thing. But in terms of textbooks, no. I can recommend some pretty good medical English textbooks, though. The only problem is that they date quite quickly. And so a lot of publishers don't publish a lot of medical English textbooks because 10 years later, half the content is no longer relevant. So
exactly. Okay. Thank you so much, Chris. Now we have some questions for Radha. Neta here. Neta wants to know, how can we register in FilmDo Academy? Is it a free platform or a subscription-based website?
Yes, FilmDo.academy, you can register straight away. It's currently free to use for 2 weeks to access all the course authoring tool, which means you can create your own lessons, you can find existing lessons, and you can edit it. Of course, you know, the FilmDo Academy is also used in the UK and US, so this is the standard model where people would come in and register for 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, you can still play any games for free that's on the website. You can also play all the games that you have previously created. But of course, for our Indonesian teachers today, if you would like an extended free trial or you'd like to find out more, if you're an Indonesian school or a group of teachers, feel free to drop me an email. I'm sure we can work out a really interesting and extended pilot and free trial for you and your school too.
All right, thank you for that. And Andy also has another question for you, Radha. Video is an excellent way to learn English, but how about using video to cope with limited English proficiency students with limited English?
No, exactly. But actually, even for basic or beginner students, we've seen some really interesting thing because they don't have to understand everything to appreciate the content or context. So we are also, for example, being used in Thailand because I'm Thai by origin, so we do a lot there as well. So what we see sometimes is that for very basic or what they call pre-English, sometimes the question is in Thai, if that makes sense. The question
okay.
But then they can learn the vocabulary. So the question is in Thai, like, you know, how do you say this animal in Thai? And then you have the word in English and the Thai translation, the English. And so the students can learn along while the question is in the native language. That's one technique. Another one is where they actually don't have to understand the whole video, and the whole conversation, but you can still ask very basic questions, like where are they? You know, so they're at the beach, at the school. They might not understand everything, but the nature of the question is relatively easier and can inspire them to learn. And the point is that the teachers can have the freedom to create what type of question is. Sometimes we even see people using, you know, other language to teach English just because of the video. So it's up to the teacher to have that flexibility.
Right. So it's still up to the teacher. So teachers, you still have the power. Thank you so much, Radha. As soon as you mentioned an extended free trial, look at the chat. People are asking for your contact. So if you would like to get the contact, you can download the booklet for all the UK ELT providers. It's available in the link. You can see the slides at the end of this session as well. So I'm afraid that's all we have for session 1. Thank you very much to all of our speakers. What a session, learning a lot. Now we're going to have a very quick break now, and it's time for you to grab a coffee, a snack, but don't go away. We'll be starting in the next 5 minutes, and we'll be hearing from the British Council, Cambridge University Press and Assessment, and Pearson. So see you soon.